Kurt Vonnegut died here in Manhattan on Wednesday night. He was 84. Many people remember him for many of his novels and essays, perhaps most importantly, Slaughterhouse-Five and Cat's Cradle. The New York Times reporter Denisha Smith said this about Kurt Vonnegut. He wrote plays, essays, and short fiction, but it was his novels that became classics of the American counterculture, making him a literary idol, particularly to students in the 1960s and 70s. Dog-eared paperback copies of his books could be found in the back pockets of blue jeans and in dorm rooms on campuses throughout the United States. Like Mark Twain, Mr. Vonnegut used humor to tackle the basic questions of human existence. Why are we in this world? Is there a presiding figure to make sense of all this? A God who, in the end, despite making people suffer, wishes them well. Kurt Vonnegut was a guest on this program. He was a friend of this program and a friend of mine. Here are some excerpts from his appearances.
Well, writers have the problem of growing old, and critics seem to be very unsympathetic about this, but as an actuarial matter, American male writers have done their best work by the time they're 55, and then it's pretty junky after that, and this is true of Mark Twain, surely. It's true of me.
It's true of Kurt Vonnegut.
It's true of Kurt Vonnegut.
Everything you did, I mean, what was a year for you?
Well,
you haven't done anything since you were 55 that was anywhere near comparable to what you did before you were 55.
No, and we just all grow old, and we have to be a good sport about this. No, I'm not. The older my father got, the dumber he got, and the same thing is happening to me.
You mean just losing brain cells, you think? Or?
Well, of course, is losing everything. But, well, I take our greatest playwright, greater than Eugene O'Neill, which was Tennessee Williams. And toward the end, the critics were wondering what the hell had happened to him, that he wasn't writing the way he used to. And, of course, the problem is he grew old. I broke his heart one time when I first met him. I thanked him profusely for The Glass Menagerie, which he had written
20 years,
20, 30 years. In one book, I forget which, I've graded all my books. I've given myself A+, B-,
all right, you can't,
C.
All right.
I think it's a B-.
It's a B-. Well, then, okay,
Yeah.
Let's go through the list then. What would you give an A to?
Oh, I'd give an A+ to Cat's Cradle.
Oh, sure.
I'd give an A+ to Mother Night. To Mother Night,
okay.
you bet, and to Slaughterhouse-Five.
So they get A+, just
Yes.
3 A+.
This is much better than I ever did in college. And how well did you do?
Well, not that good. I didn't get 3 A+. So what A's, though? Anything? You got an A there?
Well, we got some C's and B's.
And what was a failure?
Well, I said Slapstick was a failure because critics hated it so much, and I figured they knew more about it than I
would
did.
never figure that.
Yeah. But anyway, I would give this a B-, and that's not bad for a guy.
B-.
Yeah.
You're happy, though.
Well, I'm reasonably
you're
content. Well, I'm not surprised to have my powers fail. I'm a good sport about it.
Well, I don't think your powers have failed you. It's just that you don't think they're as good as they were at their best when you were at an A+ level. Kurt Vonnegut has not said everything he could possibly say.
No, but
He may not be able to say it as well as he...
No, but here my books are all in print, and they're doing the talking for me, and that was essentially the ideas I had.
Not a bad legacy, huh?
I hope.
What novelist inspired you the most?
It's hard to tell, because I don't keep track of that sort of thing, but I grew up in a house full of books.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid and you're into reading, we had a whole set of George Bernard Shaw. And I got hooked on him at an early age, and particularly the prefaces he wrote to each play. Yeah. But I think when I was about 12, I found Aristophanes, and Lysistrata as a dirty play and all that. And I've had a lot of fun reading, and fortunately was reading really good books.
And it shaped you.
Yes.
What are the God-given talents that a writer has?
He doesn't know until he tries, or she doesn't know until she tries.
It's to put one sentence.
And it doesn't, again, you mentioned world champions.
Yeah.
everybody shouldn't consider himself in competition with a world champion. And this is one reason good writers are unlikely to come from an English department, is because the English department teaches you good taste too early. And, if I were a professor, Professor Sweetbreads at Duke, and a student brought me a piece of writing, and I'd say, well, Charles, I really have never had a student capable of this quality of work. This is an excellent story. I enjoyed reading it. I want you to know. And I really don't know what to do with someone as obviously gifted as you are. Let me think. Let me show you how James Joyce dealt with the same situation.
Yes.
Put you in competition
with James Joyce,
with a world champion.
Exactly.
Immediately.
It's just
see. I came up through a chemistry department.
Yeah. Right.
And so I wrote, and there was nobody there to tell me whether it was any good or not. I was just making my soul grow writing stories.
Yeah.
And when I teach creative writing or encourage people to write. Yeah, just make your soul grow, man.
I know, it does. But your point's well taken in that I can look at sort of career patterns and see where people who had to go out on their own and who had to develop in business, entrepreneurial skills, had to develop in journalism their own models, that kind of thing, develop broader and different and more interestingly than those who were early on put into a box and put into a place in which all the standards and all the norms were set and dominated by people at the top.
Yeah. And, well, as I say, human instincts are often wonderful, often they're terrible.
Yeah.
But people are responding now to, intelligently, instinctively, to all sorts of dampers on their lives, all sorts of cultural dampers on their lives, like, the monopolies of the communications industry, and few outlets for publishing, for big-time publishing, few outlets on television. All right, they're doing it locally anyway, and God bless them, because that's smart, because their souls are going to grow.
Let me go back to writing. Are you working on anything new?
No, because I'm 76 and I'm completely in print, and I've been allowed to say
completely in print.
Everything I've ever written is in print.
So why not be? I mean, because you're 76, your faculties are not as good as they were when you were 56, and therefore you stop writing.
I'm out of stuff. I don't have anything more to say. Do you know what Herman Melville said about whalers?
What?
Do you know why they don't talk?
No.
Because they've said everything they could possibly say.
So that's you, huh?
Yeah.
So Vonnegut's like an old whaler.
Yeah, that's right.
He said everything he has to say.
That's right.
Come on now. I mean, I don't get it.
Look, it's a business.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You mean? Let me just understand this. Kurt Vonnegut had a finite amount of things to say, and he's done said them.
Yes.
That was it.
Been allowed to say them. Yeah. But look,
you mean you had a few good ideas and you said them, and that's it.
Look, I presented a terrific idea to you, and you just—I don't know how many guests you do this to. I tried some new material on you, and it flopped.
No, you were fine with the new material.
No, but the computer is a miniature golf course
for
most
that.
people.
No,
we didn't appear to like it.
No, I did. I just did, but I thought... but you're saying it's a miniature golf course simply because it's something to occupy your time.
Yes.
Right?
To waste your time.
To waste your time.
And one thing I don't like about computers in the home, too, is it cheats people out of the experience of becoming. The important life experiences are food, sex, but also becoming. And this involves reading, study, practicing an art, whatever. And what Bill Gates is saying is, hey, man, you don't have to become anymore. Your computer's becoming.
That's an interesting point.
Well, I thought
that's a good one.
I've tried to make several.
Kurt Vonnegut dead at 84. We especially this evening think about his widow, Jill Kremitz, who's a very good friend of this program and a friend of mine, and his 7 children. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.